It's a good morning from Pure Yoga, so good afternoon or good evening if that's what time you're practicing. We're doing the mindful movement Mandala march and we're taking it to find space throughout the body. So that's going to be the key element, so a lot of heart opening poses. So we're going to start laying on the back. So if you want to bring your bums into the centre of the mat, your feet to your front edge of the mat and start to lower yourself down to the floor. Make sure you have some water in case you need it throughout the practice. Have the feet mat width apart, let them drop out to the sides and then push into the heels of the feet as you lift the bums away from the mat and then lower that lower back to the floor, taking that arch out of the lower back and then just let it settle into its natural neutral position and just give those hips a little rock from side to side. Bring the hands down by the sides of the body and let the palms face up with those fingers gently curled. Let the shoulders come away from the ears, create some space across the chest by plugging those shoulder blades into the mat. And then just take a moment to scan the body from the top of the head down to the fingertips, down to the toe tips, just having a check-in with how your body feels. Noticing any tight spots, noticing any injuries you may be looking after, just being mindful of them as you move through this flow. We're going to be making our way around the mat in a 360-degree turn and we'll be seeing all four corners, all four edges, and we'll just be enjoying that natural flow, those circles on the mat. Close the eyes, take a deep breath in. And a long breath out. Take another long deep breath in through the nose. Long sigh out through the mouth. Then if you're happy to bring it to that Ujjayi breath in and out through the nose if you can, throughout the rest of practice, unless you need to use the mouth at all, if you're holding any colds or allergies. Then bring the hands out to a T shape, palms facing down. Take a bend into both knees, bring the feet in towards the bum and let the hips slightly come over to the right side as you drop your knees over to the left side and just take them to where they naturally want to fall, no forcing, but keeping that chest facing up. Keep plugging that right shoulder blade into the mat, ground it into the floor. So we get some chest expansion as we rotate the hips to that left side. Try and just let gravity take a hold. It's the first twist of the day. So just being mindful of those lower backs. Try not to let that lower back arch, keeping that tailbone tucked and the lower belly lift. Then bring those knees back to the centre, bring the hips back to the middle a little more, and then take those hips over to your left side and let the knees drop over to your right side. This time keeping that left shoulder plugged down and just take as much rotation as your body's happy to do so. Still keeping the chest facing up, the gaze facing up, the palms flat. Feeling that rotation through the waist, the expansion through the chest. Breathe into that space of the chest as you hold it here just for another breath. And then bring those knees back into that centre position. Bring the hips back to the neutral place in the middle. Bring the arms up to the ceiling, palms facing together. And then let the palms drop back to the back of the mat. Try not to flare the ribs. Bringing those hands to the floor. So we're feeling those arms going to full flexion. Abdominals contracted. Let the legs drop out to the sides. Soles of the feet come together to create some space on those inner thighs. Keep pushing that lower back into the mat. So we're trying to ground as much of that spine to the floor as we possibly can. One of the only spaces you'll probably feel is that space in that cervical spine around the neck, where the neck cannot touch the mat due to that arch in that space from the head to the shoulders. Then bring those knees back together. Bring the arms back up to the ceiling. Bring the knees into the chest and just give those knees a squeeze. Maybe take a rock of the body from side to side. Give that spine a little TLC as you're laying on those muscles that go up and down those spines. Getting into those erector spina muscles as you rock. And then bring that body to stillness. We're just going to take a few knee circles in one direction so we can get into that lower spine, get into those hip mobility, ball and socket joints of the hips, and then take it the other way, finding that rotation, making circles on the ceiling. And then bring those knees back into the chest. Take a hold of the crease of the knees. Either fall over to one side and make your way up to seated, or if you're coming with me, just slowly rocking up and down that spine a few times. Getting again into those erector spina muscles. And then the next time you come to seated, either cross the feet under the body or swing the feet around. Bring the hands forward. And bring yourself back into that tabletop position. Tops of the feet flat, widen the fingers, knees under the hips, shoulders over the heel of the hands. Take a breath in, send yourself into that cow position where the belly drops, tailbone lifts, gaze lifts, squeeze those shoulder blades back. Feel that stretch from the lower belly all the way up to the chin. Just holding in that space for a couple of breaths. And then start to tuck that tailbone down, bring that chin into the chest. And find yourself into cat position, space around the back body, space between the shoulder blades, stretching into that lower spine. And then take one more in both directions, moving with your breath. Inhale, lifts the head, lifts the bum, drops the belly. Exhale, we fold everything back in, chin to chest, and the tailbone tucks. Find your neutral spine, tabletop position. Turn your right foot so it comes off the mat. Send your left foot to the back of the mat. Lift up with the left hand and find side plank. When you've found side plank, move your left foot back a little further so you have a little more stability. And then lift and open the chest. So you send the gaze up to the ceiling, creating that space in that pectoral muscle on the left shoulder. Contracting through that deltoid muscle on the left shoulder as you drop the arm back. Gravity will help. And feel that stretch through that left hip flexor as you find that space along the front side body. Holding it here just for one more breath. And then bringing that left hand back down, left knee back down, right foot back onto the mat. Take a little rock of the hips from side to side. Walk the hands a little further forward. And then keeping the hips high, just let the chest sink down to the floor so we feel the stretch through the armpits. Maybe that chin comes to the mat and you can gaze slightly forward. Maybe it's just the forehead. The chest is aiming towards the floor, but it doesn't need to reach. So we're feeling again that openness around the rib cage, around the oblique muscles, the abdominal muscles, around the shoulders and the lower back. One more breath here in puppy pose. Then push into the hands and lift the chest away. Walk the hands back underneath the shoulders. Turn your left foot off the mat this time. Roll onto that left side and then reach that right hand up to the ceiling. Find your side plank first. Use that left foot to stabilise, then bring your right foot back a little further for a little more stability. And then open that chest up to the ceiling, supporting through that left hand, left knee, left foot, right foot. Chest opens a little more, so you send that right arm a little further over. Holding holding that head with the muscles of the neck. Gaze up to the ceiling, open that chest. And then bringing that right hand back down to the floor, right knee back to meet the left. Take a little rock of the hips, walk the hands forward and let that chest sink down towards the floor again, keeping the hips high, either forehead or chin to the mat. Feeling the stretch through those intercostal muscles in between each rib. Breathing nice and deeply into that space of the chest and the rib cage. And then pushing back into the hands, lifting up through the chest, bringing the hands back underneath the shoulders. Bringing your right foot through in between the hands. Support yourself by pushing into the floor. On your in-breath, raise the hands up to the ceiling. Sink then with the hips and then flare through the ribs, taking it into a little back bend. And then cactus the arms, open the chest a little more to the ceiling, squeeze those rhomboid muscles in between the shoulder blades. So we're really getting the stretch down that left side body. Push energetically into both feet to keep that stability. And then come out of the pose, bring both hands down, either side of that right foot, tuck your back toes under, lift up your back knee and step your left foot to meet the right. Allow that body to fold over the legs, take a hold of the elbows, let go of the head. Have a nod, have a shake. And then bringing the hands to interlace behind the back in this forward fold. Push the hands to straighten the arms, bring the palms together. And then have a lift of those hands if the shoulders are happy. Heel toe the feet a little further apart. And then bending into your right knee, bring your right shoulder towards that right knee. Come back to centre. Bend into your left knee, left shoulder towards the left knee, hands over to the left side mat. One more both sides. Right elbow, right shoulder, right knee. Back to centre, left shoulder, left knee. And back to centre. Release the hands to the lower back. Release them then to the floor. Let the arms be heavy as you slowly roll up through that spine. One vertebra at a time. Bringing yourself all the way up to standing, and when you arrive in standing, roll the shoulders back. Feet hip width apart. Breath in, raise the hands. Interlace the last three fingers. Keep the index finger pointing up and cross the thumbs. On your out breath, fold over to your right, but still push into that left foot. Feeling that stretch down the left side body. Try not to let the hips push over to the left. Keep them neutral and stacked over the heels. Come back to centre and take it to the other side. Hands to the left. Push into that right foot. Find that lateral flexion, the space down the right side rib cage. Come back to centre. And then cactus the arms. Flare through the ribs, lift up through the chest. Use that thoracic spine, the spine that sits in between those shoulder blades and those rib cages, rather than dumping into the lower back. Keep the lower belly lifted and the tailbone tucked under. And then on your out breath, release everything down, hands by the sides of the body. Take a roll of the shoulders and then relax them back towards the hips. Stepping your left foot back and find warrior two legs. So your left toes pointing to the long edge, your right toes pointing to the front edge of the mat. Interlace the fingers at the bum. Push the hands down towards the floor. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. And then start to lower the chest to the inside of that right thigh as you lift the hands up and away from the bum. If the shoulders are happy, maybe stack them over the shoulders. And once you find that position of humble warrior, just let go of the head, let it hang to the inside of that right shin. Keep pushing nice and strong into both feet, the outside edges of the left foot and the sole of the front foot. Breathing deeply into that space that you're creating at the front of the chest. Holding this humble warrior for another breath. And then release the hands back to the lower back. Lift up with the back muscles to bring those shoulders back over the hips. And turn the toes, both sets towards the long edge, heels out, toes slightly in. Keep the interlace of the fingers. On your out breath, start to fold from the hips, just bringing yourself to a half fold. Take another breath in here. Then on your out breath, fold fully over those thighs. Let that head go. And then if you're happy then to bring those arms up and away from the bum. Having a nod and a shake of the head. Keeping those shoulder blades squeezing together. Just letting the body fall with gravity, the hands fall with gravity. But remember, you can keep those hands at the lower back. Just make sure you squeeze those rhomboid muscles in between the shoulder blades to keep that chest open. Next breath in, bring the hands back to the lower back, come back to a half fold. Take a breath out here. Then on your in-breath, bring that chest back up to sit and stack over the hips. Turn now your left toes to the back of the mat and find that humble warrior space. So bending into the left knee, keeping the grip of the hands, keep pushing the palms together. And then on your out breath, fold the chest to the inside of that left thigh and let go of the head. And as you find and arrive in this place, maybe lift those hands back up and over those shoulders, still keeping that creation of space that you've found as you fall over that left thigh. Widen through the collarbones, release through the neck. Find that space in that cervical spine at the back of the body. One more breath here. Then release those hands back to the lower back. Lift up through the chest. Straighten both legs. And then step yourself to the back of the mat. So feet hip width apart. On your in-breath, raise the hands up to the ceiling. Palms together at the top. Interlace the last three fingers, index finger pointing up. Weight goes into your right foot and your left foot as you lean over to that right side. Arms nice and straight, but shoulders relaxed. Try not to let the hips push over to the opposite way. Come back to center and take it over to the other side. Feeling that stretch down that right side waist. Come back to center and cactus the arms, flare the ribs, keep that tailbone tucked under, lower belly lift, so we get that thoracic extension of the spine. And then reach the hands back up to the ceiling, and on your out breath, fold from the hips, start to bring the body down over those thighs. Let go of the head, have a nod and shake of the head, maybe hold the elbows, ragdoll in this forward fold. And then release the arms, bring the hands to interlace behind the back, palms come together, squeeze the shoulder blades, maybe lift the hands away from the bum. And then bend into your right knee, right shoulder comes to touch that right leg. Back to center, left shoulder, left knee, bend into the left knee and turn the chest to the right. Back to center, one more both sides, right shoulder, right knee. Back to center, left shoulder, left knee. And back to center. Release the hands down to the floor. Step yourself back into a plank position. Find plank for a breath. And then drop down the knees, untuck the toes. Start to lower the body towards the floor. And then walk the hands forward. Bring them all the way off the mat. And then take it into what we call seal. Maybe widen the hands a little wider. Create that space along the front of the body again. Try and push those hips into the mat so we're not dumping into that lower spine. Try and let the shoulders relax down. Space across those collarbones. Push into those big toe mounts. Try and engage the legs. And then releasing that chest back down. Bring the hands by the side of the chest. Tuck under with the toes. Bring those chests back towards the thighs. Push into those hands, push into those feet. Lift up the hips. Find a down dog. Maybe have a little paddle of those feet. A nod and shake of the head. Then coming down onto the knees, bring your right foot through in between the hands. Reach up with the arms and find your low lunge, and then sink the hips down. Then cactus the arms, lift up through the chest. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze that back chain of muscles and lengthen the front chain. Easy breath in, long breath out. And then bring the hands to either inside of that right leg. Walk the right toes over to the right side of the mat and just sink into the lizard pose knee down variation. And then if you want to take a bend into that left knee, bring that left foot in towards the bum and then reach up and over with that right hand to grab a hold of that left foot. If it doesn't reach, just stay in your lizard, sinking into that left hip flexor. If you're with me, open the chest out to the right side of the mat. You should be facing the back of the mat now anyway. Hold it in that place just for another breath, wherever you are. Then release that left foot down if you've taken hold of the foot. Bring your right hand back up and over. Tuck the back toes under, lift up the back knee. Walk the hands around to the centre of the mat. Toes in, heels out. Finding that half fold wide leg. Left hand comes into the centre and then raise that right hand up to the ceiling. Turn and twist the body to the right. Maybe gaze up towards that right thumb, stacking your right shoulder on top of the left. Little softness through the knees if you need to pop a block under the hands or a book, just something to raise the floor a little closer. Then bend back down, facing towards that left hand. Right hand goes where the left hand is. And then we turn and twist to the left, reaching up with the left hand. Opening that chest to the front of the mat, the left side. Pushing energetically into both feet. Then bringing that left hand back down, allow the body to fold over the legs. Let go of the head. Next breath in, come up to a half lift. Walk the hands back around to that left foot. And drop down with the right knee. Heel toe that left foot out to the side, hands to the inside of the left foot. And sink those hips down as far as you can push them by squeezing that right bum cheek. If you want to take the variation I took on the other side, bend into your right knee and bring your right foot towards the bum. If you want to just hold it there using the hamstring strength to hold it, feel free to do so. If you're going for the bind and the opening of the chest, left hand goes back to meet that right foot and turn that body towards the left side of the mat. Keep the hips low, support through that right hand. Easy breaths in and long breaths out. Then bringing that left hand back up and over, bring it to the inside of that left foot, drop the right foot, heel toe that left foot back into centre. Reach up with the arms, find your low lunge and sink the hips. Cactus the arms, open the chest. Feel that flare of the ribs, but try and keep support for the lower back. Lower belly lifted, tailbone tucked. Then release the hands down, either side of that left foot, tuck your back toes under, lift up your back knee. Step forward, the right foot to meet the left, and allow the body to fold over those legs. Let go of the head. Make sure the feet are hip width apart. Take hold of elbows, nod, shake the head. Then bringing the hands behind the back, interlace the fingers, push the palms together, maybe lift the hands up and over the shoulders. Bend into your left knee, left elbow to touch that left shoulder to touch that left knee. Back to centre, right shoulder, right knee, bend into the right knee and turn the chest. Centre, one more both sides. And centre. And over to the right. And centre. Release the hands back to the bum. And release them to the floor. Slowly curl up through that spine, one vertebra at a time. Bringing yourself all the way up to standing. When you arrive in standing, roll the shoulders back. Breath in, raise the hands, interlace the fingers. Last three fingers, index finger pointing up. Keep weight into the left foot as you lean over to the right. Relax the shoulders down. Breathe into that left rib cage. Come back to centre. And over to the left side, push into the right foot. Breathe into that right rib cage. Back to centre. Cactus the arms, lift up through the chest. Keep support in the lower back. And then release the hands down by the sides of the body. We're taking those poses again back around to the right side. So stepping your right foot back this time and turn those right toes out, left toes facing the front. Bend into that left knee. Take a hold of the hands and interlace the fingers. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. And then fold that chest to the inside of that left thigh. And lift the arms away from the bum if you're happy to do so. And relax the head, humble warrior, over that left thigh, facing the front of the mat. Pushing strong into the feet, back leg straight, left knee bent. Come back through centre, lift up the chest. Turn the toes to the long edge, heels out, toes in. On your out breath, fold to a half fold. Take an in breath here. Out breath, fold over the legs, maybe lift those hands up and away from the bum. Soften the knees if you need to. Try not to lock out in those joints. Have that little micro bend to protect those joints of the knees. Bring the hands back to the lower back. Come up on your inhale to a half lift and take a breath out here. Your next breath in, raise those shoulders over the hips. Turning your right toes now to the back edge of the mat. Bend into your right knee, left leg stays straight. Turn the chest towards the back of the mat and then fold it over that right thigh. Lifting those hands up and away. Relax the head as you've arrived here. Breathe easy into the space. Relax that cervical spine behind the back of the head, down to the shoulders. Bring the hands back to the lower back, lift up through the chest, straighten both legs. And then bring yourself back to the front of the mat. Feet hip width apart, release the hands. Breath in, raise the hands to the ceiling, palms together, interlace the last three fingers, index finger pointing up. Push your weight down into your left foot as you reach over to the right side. Lateral flexion, taking that spine in a different plane of movements. Back to centre and over to the left side, pushing into your right foot. Come back to centre. Release to cactus arms and lift up through the chest. Gaze up to the ceiling. And then reach back up with the hands. And on your out breath, fold from the hips, bend the knees as much as you need to bring the hands back to the floor and let go of the head here. Hold the elbows, let everything hang over those thighs. And then taking the hands back behind the back, interlace the fingers, push the palms together, lift up the arms. On a bend of the right knee, bring the right shoulder towards it. Turn the chest to the left, back to centre, bend into the left knee and turn to the right. Back to centre, one more both sides. And back to centre, relax the neck, left side. Back to centre, release the hands back to the bum, bring the hands to the floor. Step yourself back to a plank position. And then lift up the hips to down dog and take a paddle of the feet here and a nod and a shake of the head. Coming down onto the knees. Bring your left foot through in between the hands. Untuck the back toes. Reach up, find low lunge. Sink the hips down as low as you can without arching the lower back. And then cactus the arms, lift up through the thoracic spine and open the chest to the ceiling. Holding it in cactus arms, feeling the stretch down that right side hip flexor. And then bring the hands into the inside of that left leg. Walk those toes over to the left side and sink the hips. Choice to stay here in this lizard pose knee variation down, or bring that right foot into the bum. Maybe you just hold it there using activation of the hamstring, or maybe you want to lift that left hand up and over to find that right foot to bind onto the toes, and then turn the chest to the left. Then bringing that hand back up and over, release that right foot back to the floor, tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee and walk yourself around to the right side, bringing yourself into a wide leg half fold. Toes in, heels out. Left hand stays in the centre as you reach that right hand up to the ceiling. Gaze up to that thumb. Get a little rotation through the waist, space through the chest. Release that right hand to where the left hand is. Then turn and twist to the left. Open the chest to the back of the mat. Keep grounded, pushing into the outside feet. Release that left hand back down and allow the body to fold over the legs. Let go of the head. Then come up to a half lift. Walk the hands back towards that right foot. Drop that left knee down, hands to the inside of the right leg. And sink the hips. Choice to stay here, lizard pose, knee down. Or bring that left foot in towards the bum for activation of the hamstring. Or find the stretch of the quad a little more, bringing your right hand up and over, turning the chest to the right, grabbing hold of that left foot with the right hand and squeezing it into the bum. Just to create a little more length and space down that left hip flexor into that left thigh. Supported with the left hand. Right knee drops out to the side a little bit if you've gone into that rotation. Then release that left foot down to the floor. Bring your right hand back up and over. Bring it to the outside of the right foot and heel toe the right foot in. Find your low lunge. Raise the arms. Sink the hips. Then cactus the arms and open up through the chest. Breathe into this space. And release the hands down. Tuck your back toes under, lift up your back knee. Step your left foot to meet the right And allow the body to fold over those thighs. Take a hold of the elbows. Have a nod and shake of the head. Relax the shoulders as much as you can. And then space through the chest by taking an interlace of the fingers at the bum. Push the hands away. Maybe lift those hands up. Heel toe the feet. Make sure the feet are hip width apart. Bend into your right knee, right shoulder to touch if you can. Turn the chest to the left. Back to centre. Bend into your left knee. Turn to the right. Shoulder of the left to the knee. Back to centre. One more both sides. Bend the left knee, left shoulder to the left knee. And back to centre. Release the hands back to the bum. Bring them down to the mat. Curl up through that spine. One vertebra at a time. Bring yourself to standing. Roll the shoulders back. On your breath in, raise the hands. Interlace the fingers. Last three fingers, index finger pointing up. Relax the shoulders down. On your out breath, fold to the right and lengthen the left side, but still push into that left foot. Come back to centre, take it to the left side, push into that right foot. Back to centre, cactus the arms, lift up through the chest. Reach the hands back up to the ceiling and fold from the hips, bend the knees, bring the hands to the floor, let go of the head. Breath in comes to a half lift, straighten the legs, straighten the back, hands to the shins. Then release the hands to the floor, step back into a plank, lift up the hips, squeeze those heels back. Choice to paddle if you wish. Try and push that chest a little further towards those thighs. Easy breath in and long breath out. Come back forward to a plank position and drop down the knees, untuck the toes. Release the chest down to the floor, elbows grazing the ribs. Walk the hands further forward, widen them to the width of the mat. Then push into the hands and lift up the chest. Finding seal pose. Try not to let those shoulders creep up. Push into those hip flexors. Push into those big toe mounts to activate the legs. Then release that chest back down. Bring the hands by the side of the chest. Tuck under with the toes. Bring the chest back towards the thighs. And then push into the hands, lift up the hips and squeeze the heels back. Nodding and shaking of the head. Paddle of the feet. Come back down onto the knees. Turn your right foot off the mat. Find yourself in side plank and lifting the left hand up, left foot to the back of the mat. When you've found side plank, let the left foot come back a little further and open the chest up to the ceiling. Create that space through the front side body. Breathing into all that front body, down to the toe tips of the left foot, into the left hip flexor, left rib cage, left shoulder. Bring that left hand back down. Both knees to meet. Walk the hands a little further forward and relax that chest to the floor. Maybe the forehead or the chin meets. Maybe the chest comes all the way down, depending on what flexion you have in your shoulders. If you've got good thoracic extension, maybe that chest comes all the way to the floor. Definitely not a place where I can meet my body. And then bring that chest back up. Walk the hands back underneath you. Just give those hips a little rock from side to side. And then turning your left foot off the mat. Send your right leg long. Weight onto your left hand. Reach your right hand to the ceiling. Find that stability of that left foot stabilizer. Then bring your right foot back a little. Open the chest. This time feel that stretch from the right fingertips to the armpit, to the rib cage, to the right hip flexor, down towards those right toes. Keep that head supported by the muscles in the neck. And then bring that right hand back to the floor. Right knee back to meet the left. Take a little rock of those hips from side to side. Reach the hands forward. Find that puppy pose. Hips stay over the knees. Chest comes to the floor or somewhere close, either onto the chin or the forehead, whatever feels most comfortable in the neck. Push into the hands, lift up through the chest, hands come underneath the shoulders. Take 2 rounds of cat-cow. Breath in, lifts the head, lifts the bum, drops the belly. Breath out, we fold everything back in, chin to chest, and the tailbone tucks. Centre of the spine lifts. One more both directions. And fold it back through. Bring yourself back to neutral spine. Swing the legs around or cross the feet underneath the bum and come into a seat. Bring yourself into the center of the mat, heels forward to the front, arms to shoulder height, and slowly make your way down to the floor, one vertebra at a time. Bringing yourself back to the mat, to where we started. Release the shoulders. Bring the hands to a T shape. Take a bend into both knees. Let the knees drop over to your left. Bring your hips slightly to the right. And take a gaze this time to your right hand. Maybe you find a bigger rotation now as you've taken this rotation at the end of practice. Back to center. Nudge the hips to the left. Knees to the right. Gaze to that left hand. Keep that left shoulder plugged into the mat to create the space across the chest. Back to center. Neutralize the hips. Bring the hands up to the ceiling, palms together. Push that lower spine into the floor. Keep that abdominal engagement as you lower the hands back to the back of the mat. Keep everything engaged. Let gravity take hold of the arms. Let the knees drop out to the side. Soles of the feet together. Still not letting that lower back arch. Feel the stretch on those inner thighs. Then keeping the legs where they are, bring the hands back up to the ceiling. Bring them down to the sides of the body, palms facing up. Maybe just have a rock of the knees from side to side, get into that lower back. Start to relax those abdominal muscles now as we take ourselves into relaxation. If you wish to find your way into long legs, feel free to do so, or just take a few moments in butterfly legs with me. Close the eyes, soften the jaw, let the tongue drop away from the roof of the mouth, and those lips to gently part. Take a nice long deep breath in. Long sigh out through the mouth. Relax the neck, the shoulders, the space around the ribs, the belly and the pelvis, the upper limbs and the lower limbs, the hands, the feet, the fingers, the toes. Feel the weight of the body on the earth as you let every bit of tension release. Eyelids are heavy. Your breath is its own natural automatic pattern. Take a scan of the body from the head to the fingers to the toes. How does that body feel 45 minutes after the start of class? Does that body feel a little more open? Better space to breathe? Feel free to stay here for as long as you wish and pause me now. Or if you're coming out with me, if you're in butterfly legs, use the hands to bring the knees back together in the center. If you've got long legs, start to bend the knees one at a time into the chest. Maybe just have a rock of that body from side to side. Maybe make circles with the knees in one direction. And then take those circles the other way. Bring the knees back into the chest for one last squeeze. And then make your way over onto one side. Make a pillow with that right hand or left hand, whichever's your top arm. Long breath in, long breath out. Then push into that top hand. Bring yourself into a seated position. Keeping the eyes closed, the head slightly bowed. Place the hands on top of the thighs. Breath in, reach up with the hands, palms together at the top. On your out breath, hands to the chest, soft gaze to the floor. Have peace in your thoughts, have peace in your words, have peace in your hearts. From my heart to yours, Namaste.